so many mega cities before us that experienced the same thing, and the solutions have worked. So we can just borrow best practices. The problem we have is we don't like to do that. We like to come up with original ideas.
We're Filipino.
Yeah, it's like...
Well, we don't like change.
Well, you know what? I don't know. We like change or not,
resistant.
but...
Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't want to go too far with this, but sometimes it's more of like, it could be ego. It's like, we look at a situation, we go, we should put a flyover there, and that flyover with a clover leaf should be able to solve that problem. How about we do an elevated U-turn? And then they do, and you're like, well, why? We will be the first in the world to do that. It's like, well, have you thought about why? Maybe there's a reason why they're first in the world. Actually, no, Bangkok does it, Thailand does it, but in a completely different capacity.
Yeah.
It's like this one in a narrow road like that kind of killed a lot of lanes. But yeah, I'm getting just as frustrated as ever. And it's the Burr months.
Do we have hope?
Pause for effect.
Okay. That's scary.
No, you know what?
That's scary coming from a guy that knows about traffic.
I'll try to be serious for a second about this. We do have hope, but if we don't act now, we will not have hope. And that, you know how sometimes when you're in a gridlock, diba? You're traffic, and then the intersection gets gridlocked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it'll take you hours to untangle it because...
Before we stop?
Exactly. Once you have that's it. So what we're going to do is eventually, if we don't act soon, the city will become a gridlock and there will be no untangling it. And then no matter what kind of methods that you want to introduce, it's kind of too late. We're so close to that if we don't start acting now, we're going to be in for that citywide gridlock. This is why I've been trying... You know, and if I have a couple of minutes... Wow, the great equalizer in traffic. Your supercar and the Kia Pride from the 90s, they have the same performance out there. Exactly. Same average speed, etc. Now, if we don't start looking at this, and we need to look at traffic a lot more seriously than we do. Have you noticed the way people talk about traffic? They talk about it like it's the weather. You know how foreigners talk about the weather? And they walk into the room and the first thing they do is, so how's it going? It's bloody cold out there, isn't it? Yeah, Bob just lost a finger. You know, it's like that's because you only react to the weather. But you react to it. It's just, nandyan na.
Yeah.
And that's the way we talk about traffic here. It's like, Ate, kumusta? Oh, grabing traffic. It's like, but there is something we can do about it. That's a problem. But we need to take it first, number one. And before we even open the conversation, we have to agree on this point. Take it more seriously. Because everyone that talks about traffic, they are talking about it in that same way when we should be looking at it as a state of emergency. Whether legal or just psychological. If I told you guys right now that there was an airborne virus that just hit Metro Manila, and it was costing the Filipino people 3 billion pesos a day, our health is at risk, our productivity and our quality of life is now being affected, what do you think the government would do? They would probably send out the National Guard. DOH would probably come down and say, everybody in your homes, lock up your daughters. And they wouldn't do anything. Yeah, exactly. Until the problem was fixed. But that's how we should be looking at traffic. We should be looking at traffic with that same kind of urgency. Now, if this is not fixed, it will eventually. It is costing the Filipino people 3 billion a day. It is affecting our quality of life. It is affecting our productivity and our health. So you have to put it as number one priority. And once we agree on that, there are things that we can do right now to change traffic and to affect it or to make it a lot better.
Now, because we talked about it earlier about the different schemes that they were going through. They said, EDSA one way. They're talking about the one driver policy. You can't be on EDSA. What are these things? I mean, is it just they're just throwing around?
Yeah. I think they're grounded in they're good natured, right? In the way that carpooling is obviously the solution. But here's a huge problem I have. Are these government agencies talking to each other? The MMDA have planned or they proposed this carpooling thing, right? But the LTFRB have come out saying carpooling is illegal.
Because you get paid.
Yeah. So if you use Wonder or Waze Carpool when Waze comes in, you will be targeted. And that I know because I was interviewing the chairman when he said that. And he said if this app parang ganun diba? It's like, wait, have you guys spoken? Because one agency is saying we won't let you on EDSA unless you carpool and have 3 people in your car. And the other agency is saying if you operate with that carpool app, we will operate against you. So ano ba talaga? You really have to start looking at like number one. Number two, while it's good intentions, and I support carpooling 100,000%, in theory, it's fantastic. In reality, can you picture the MMDO officers in the middle of EDSA physically checking each car? Ilan kaya dyan? Ilan? Tatlo ba? O sige. And then they put the fingers out the window. Ano ba yan? Yung Victoria Court sign? Hindi ko alam yan. Deluxe or no? Hey. But you can imagine the chaos that they would cause trying to enforce this rule. Here's my proposal lang. Why don't we just legalize, and not just legalize, incentivize carpooling, but really incentivize it. And when I talk about incentivizing, do you have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a elevator pitch. Medyo ano to
You're raising the level.
We sound smart.
This is so new, so it's so fresh in my head. So please, you're the first to hear this publicly. So bear with me. Okay. You legalize and incentivize ride sharing, okay? And carpooling. You wage a war on traffic using technology as your weapons. Okay, because the simple idea and tried and proven formula worldwide in any megacity is this: more people in less vehicles. Simple solution. The more people you have in less vehicles, the better it is. That's why you have trains and big mass transits. Let's assume that the Secretary Tugade has a plan for a subway, which he says he has, and decentralization. So tapos na yan, di ba? That's at the heart of, you cannot have a conversation without that being at the heart of it, because there were too many people. So subway is coming, but 15 years pa yan. Decentralization, another 10 or 15 years pa yan. Driver education, assume that's another problem. Let's look at the short to medium term goal here. You wage a war using technology, and you look at the space of private cars and you say, pound for pound, this is the most inefficient way to move people around, because the footprint that it takes versus the amount it moves, it's ridiculous. But the only reason we do it, kasi wala tayong option. Wala tayong safe option or efficient option. So we all pile into our private cars. So we target that area first, and we zoom into that, and we go, how do we make that more efficient? Well, ride sharing, tried and proven, diba? So you let everybody, and I mean everybody, have the ability to share their ride. Ability. Of course, you have to pass the security and safety. That's it. The rest, no more mayor's permit, no more DTI, no more LTFRB, no more of that kalukohan. Basically, you want to share your ride, we will make it as easy as possible. So now, you create everybody sharing their rides. Now, if one Uber services 15 to 20 people a day, would we all agree here that one Uber or ride-sharing car will remove, let's be conservative na lang, 3 cars off the road? Fair, diba?
Yeah.
That's already a 66% reduction in cars.
That's us. That's us right now.
Exactly. 66% reduction in cars to service the same amount of people. Tell me another program on planet Earth that can do that pretty much immediately. Okay, nandyan na. And embraced already. All right, so now, bear with me, because that's the first step. Now, you create tiers for ride sharing, because at the moment, it's a 5-year thing. Your car has to be 5 years old. Screw that. Let it all go out. You know what? Everyone can share the ride. You can have Uber Diamond. You have a Mercedes-Benz BMW. Uber Diamond ka. You have a Camry. Uber Black. You have a Vios. You have an Uber X. We can even go the lower end. Yung Kia Pride mo. We can even create one called, Puluber, diba? Just in case if you want. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're using existing assets on the road, and we're just maximizing the seats. And that's what disruptors do. They come in and they look at the most efficient way to trim the fat. So now, we have everybody that is willing to share the ride, because not everybody will, right? You can, but that's fine. You can lead a horse to water, as they say. But the idea is anyone that is willing to is on this platform. If you're really not willing to, okay lang. Okay lang. Now, we have ride sharing sorted out. The next step, carpooling. You don't want to share your ride in ways like you want to make money out of it, etc. But going to work and coming back home, you're willing to share your ride. Okay, Wonder and Waze Carpool app are 2 fantastic apps. Now, the difference between ride-sharing and carpooling is determined by, number 1, the driver is the one that designates the trip. And I say, I'm going from Mandaluyong back to Merville, Parañaque at 8:30 p.m. That goes up into the cloud through the app. Anyone looking at a ride going to Parañaque will say, I'm going to Magallanes.
Okay.
Boom, I found you a match. Now it's up to me to accept. Now, you cap that at a certain rate where it's non-profit. We agree on a rate, let's say 10 pesos a kilometer or whatever it is. Now, after that, it's profit. Before that, it's non-profit. So that means, exactly. So we just say that's the difference between ride-sharing and carpooling. You determine the ride, and they make sakay with you. It's not point to point. It's wherever you're going as a driver. And the maximum you can charge is a certain amount to offset your gas. So now you have, and you incentivize it. Okay, please, everybody get on this platform. Now, let's just assume we're 12 million, 15 million in the city at the moment. Let's just assume only 2 million people sign up for that. Okay lang, that's a good start. We're still reducing a huge amount. And this is where it gets exciting, boys. And you're the first to hear about this, by the way. I'm excited about this. After that, you introduce RFID technology. Okay? And you say, instead of saying penalize, because this government loves to bawal. That's not management. Anyone can make bawal something. Management involves thinking and how to know.
And we like bawal. We like to.
Yeah, we like because it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. Bawal yan. So now we have RFID technology, and we say we put the gantries up on EDSA, maybe Commonwealth, SLX, C5, etc. Major roads. Just start with maybe the major SLX. Now these RFID gantries, right? If you share your ride, let's say Sam shares his ride 100 hours, or he does 100 rides a month, and you do 50 rides and you do 20 rides. You get tiers, right? Like you do in an airline. The more you travel, the higher your card. The perks. But because it's technology based, now let's say Sam's a gold card member because he's a valuable member now of the riding public because he offers his ride 100 times a month. This guy's a good guy. So now he goes into the express lane, controlled by technology. Wala nang MMDA dyan. Sam, through his RFID plate and his app that he uses for Uber, Grab, or Wonder, or Waze, or whatever, once he hits a certain level, he goes on the express lane. He's allowed on all the express lanes. The more you keep building more express lanes, you don't think after a while people are going to be driving going, how do I get there? Why are those guys going so fast? Diba? Gusto ko ma-experience yan. Paano? Well, dude, share your ride. Just share your ride. Just keep... Oh my gosh, so they start to do that. Eventually, you'll see more and more people getting on board. And the more people that share the rides, the less cars there are on the road. And the idea is later on, here's the even more exciting part. Aside from all of that, the data that you gather from these drivers is so rich that you're able to do things like this. You can create congestion pricing and dynamic pricing. So now, you say, if you enter EDSA, there's a congestion charge, or you enter Makati CBD, there's a congestion charge. But if you are at this level and higher, voila. You will get a pass. And it's all digital. Boop, you enter the thing. If you enter the wrong lane and you don't have you're not a member of that, you'll just get, you'll have to pay. You have to pay an exorbitant...
game ako dyan.
Diba? And it's all incentive driven. Fine, or you just pay a
certain toll fee.
Or what you could do is you could set a standard so that it's this is how much you have to pay to drive your car on these roads. Let's say 100 pesos. But if you hit this level, it's 80. If you hit this level, it's 50. If you hit this level, it's 40. If you hit this level, it's free. So that it's up to you. Because the idea we're trying to create here is that once we establish that there are options and you walk out of this building and you touch your phone and within 1 minute you have a ride because so many people are sharing, now you have options. If you still choose to be a señorito and drive your private car, I'm sorry, magbayad ka pare. Because señorito ka talaga eh. But pay the price. Exactly. Because what we're doing now is saying we're penalizing you for your private car, but we're not giving you another option. So that's not fair. Give them the option first and then say, do you still want to use your private car? If you do, no judgment here.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Some people fly commercial, some people fly business, some people fly private plane. Hey, if your time's more valuable and you can afford a private plane, that's what you have to pay.
But
this is what we want to create with land transport.
I'm sure there's a lot of politicians that they're, how can I get into that lane?
Philippines,
they'll get into that lane really quick. You know why? They have their bodyguards. They're considered.
They're carpooling. Yeah, but they're in a separate car.
They're gonna go.
Naka-escalate ako yung Innova boys ko.
If I'm a congressman, I'm gonna go, sino ba nag-isip nito? James? Bakit natin si James Deakin? James, bigyan mo ako ng elite
Or they,
How many
James,
points do I need? I'll pay you for my points.
Oh
or
my
they go,
gosh.
James,
I'm
sure you need infrastructure for that. RFID. Ako bahala.
Ayun, meron akong kamag-anak na
Oh,
may
yeah. I have the
RFID
technolo-
business.
I have the technology now.
James, usap tayo mamaya.
What's for everybody's knowledge? What's RFID?
RFID is a system that solution for congested the traffic. Yun ang solution.
Anyway, ito
There.
tayo.
Yeah.
Mamalik tayo.
Okay, James.
Okay, James, take it away.
Take it away.
Of course, that's what's being used along Flex.
Yeah, but it's used along slacks at the moment. Yes, for toll.
for
But
toll,
the actual system is, and now because everyone has a digital pulse, or they have a little, you can see them digitally. You can make decisions. You can have an iPad the size of this desk here, looking at the entire Metro Manila and seeing the heat maps. This is where it's congested. Why? And then if we open this road, it had this effect because it's real time.
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want to get everyone onto a platform where we can see everybody digitally. We don't know who you are. I mean,
You just see like a
you
little
just see a
blip.
little pixel. You're a
Yeah.
pixel, but at least you're counted. Now, your plate number's RFID. That's better for the LTO. Eventually your driver's license should be RFID, so that the cop comes up, you're busted. He just scans it, and then it takes away your points.
Yeah, plus
You
no
have a
ticket.
fine.
Yeah, no physical ticket.
We want to remove the human
Yeah.
element as much as possible.
Kasi yung lagay,
Yeah.
it's a big
That's
thing.
where the
Yeah.
lagay comes in.
Oh.
But think about that and just look at how that space will be completely disrupted and turned into as the most efficient way possible. Then the magic happens after that because we didn't know what Uber was before it arrived, right? We didn't know what
Yeah.
Spotify and Facebook was. So who's to say what's going to happen in the future with jeepneys and buses? Well, none of us know because it's not invented yet. But if we create that fertile ground for developers to actually want to develop something rather than be punished for their success, then we'll see solutions be offered to us. But right now, we're punishing success. We're snubbing it. And so people are like, well, go anywhere but the Philippines. That's the attitude now of developers because they just get a lot of grief from it.
Yeah.
So we need to create that environment where these good ideas grow. And these good ideas can actually be born and planted and turned into something.
A lot of people have also brought up the actual licenses, the actual renewal of tests. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm very big advocate for that. You see, I think mandatory retesting, especially before the 5-year thing came in, I was a little vocal about it because I thought that would have been your hook. You get 5 years, but you have to go and sit a test. And you have to sit a test of international standards. And I would have outsourced that to another foreign company.
Yeah.
And just have I'm sorry guys, but really, we just got to trust it to somebody else right now. Because it's nothing personal, but we've seen what happened before.
Because everyone, I have the cheat codes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jojo has never driven.
Yeah, I never drive in my life.
You want your license?
Yeah, I want my license, but I never have.
How much you got?
Kaming bahala.
Yun yung sa likod mo.
Eh, meron lang. Because si Darsman, bahala na.
Paperless.
Paper.
Ano to?
Papadulas lang.
No show. Hindi na ka na magpakita.
Non-appearance fee. My kid just got his license 2 or 3 days ago, and he was swarmed by fixers and stuff. And I told him, if I catch you, I swear using a fixer talaga. And
All the people.
yeah,
Your son.
I know, no.
I'm James Deakin.
But it took him 6 hours, but he got it, and he got it legitimately. So I'm really proud of that. But still, he chose to do it right. But it doesn't mean that the other people who want to cut the line.
6 hours is a lot of time for people who are not used to waiting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
People will be like, you know what? Cut this down to 1 hour. I'm bahala.
Yeah, and so there's still a lot of fixers. In the airport, I came out of the airport, inside the terminal, may nag-ano ng, sir, taxi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I said, what the? I mean, dito sa loob ng terminal,
Yeah.
hindi ba bawal yan o sir bawal?
Why are you here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ang sarap ng bawal eh.
Yeah.
sarap.
So we gotta outsmart this. And the only way to outsmart this is right now for me technology. It's the only way.
Yeah.
What about with the jeepneys and the buses?
At the moment,
There's too many commuters.
there are, but you know what? This is part of the thing that I was talking about. I think when politicians and stuff come in and they look at the whole thing and they go, if they can't solve everything, they don't bother trying. Parang ganun. They're looking for a magic pill. There is no magic pill because you cannot solve traffic just like you cannot cure diabetes. You just manage it. And that's the key. You have to just learn how to manage it and live with it, but manage it through a healthy lifestyle, etc. Same with traffic. Manage it by looking at if you were running a business, you would look at every process that you have And if somebody could make your process even 5% more efficient, you'd say, deal.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't care if it's 3 or 5%. It's 3 or 5% better than I had before. And yet, everyone's looking for the magic pill with traffic. If it doesn't solve everything overnight, we don't want to do it. Kailangan mass transit yan. Yes, I know, but that's 15 to 20 years down the track. What about now till then? And the best part about this proposal I've got is, number one, it doesn't cost the Philippine government a single centavo until you put the RFID gantries. Which is, you know what? By the time you do that, we're spending 3 billion a day. We're losing 3 billion a day in traffic. What's a gantry system on EDSA, C5, and all these places? It's your return of investment. I think it's 24 hours probably. I'm just thinking. Now another thing is, no matter what you introduce in the future, it's not going to make kalaban with this. It's not going to be in conflict with this. This is basically just making a space more efficient. And not anything that happens after this is still welcome. Hey, you want to build a subway? Great. You have a great idea for the jeepneys? Great. So I don't know what the next great idea for the jeepney is, but somebody does, and that person's out there right now and is probably just too scared to bring it up or doesn't have any motivation to bring it up because he gets hit with a brick wall. Brick wall. So the buses, I mean, I would like to see a BRT system like they have in Colombia, in Brazil, in China. I still think that is a that's
the best way.
I think it's still the best way, pound for pound again. Then you look at the jeepneys. I think slowly you could probably, the modernization program's okay. I mean, I think that's a step in the right direction, but they need to assure the jeepney drivers because there's a lot of cost things.
They can afford it, you know what I mean? Like, they're complaining. They don't want some of these things go on the road like with no brakes.
Yeah,
no brakes.
Exactly.
They can't afford new brakes, so they just.
But here's something to think about. When I hear transport groups jumping up and down, protecting, and I'm doing air quotes in case you can't see me, protecting the poor and saying this is anti-poor, dapat hindi ganon. I find it very ironic because all you do by protecting them, making it anti-poor and saying, don't change, you've only ensured their poverty by guaranteeing them that nothing will change. So they're stuck there. Because unless you raise the standards and say, you know what, we need safer cars, so this is what it's going to be, but unfortunately the passenger is going to have to pay a bit more. Nobody wants to pay a bit more. But if you make it optional and up for debate, it'll never change. Because we're creatures of habit. We'll just say, no. Just like when people were saying with the dash cam campaign, Diba, mahal yan and all that. Sayang, that's 5,000, 3,000, whatever. You know what? Yes, but so was the seatbelt. So were headlights. So were wipers. They were at one point, they weren't mandatory. But, it became a fixed cost because we just think that's the minimum requirement now that you need to drive a car. It's a seatbelt, headlights, a roof.
But then the headlights, sometimes they're driving around at night without the headlights.
Para makatipid naman.
Kasi they're feeling that, baka I'm paying a lot per my Meralco bill.
Yeah, or they think they're battery.
Sayang.
Park light na lang.
They think the battery,
They think that way. It's like, what are you thinking about?
Dati ikaw nakapark eh.
Naka-park light lang.
Gumagalaw yung kotse mo.
His car moves at night.
Kasi dark pala yun, gumagalaw yung kotse.
Nakapark, also, somebody brought up safety is a concern. Is it a concern for ride sharing?
Okay, yeah, good point.
Let's say somebody like Jojo wants to carpool. Okay, may nag-alert sa akin.
It's a total good point.
Yeah.
In fact,
okay, meron akong susunduin at this point. We're heading in the same direction. Pagkakita ko kay Jojo, oh my God, ayoko sa this guy, ayoko pasakayin ang kotse ko.
Namimili.
Mukhang medyo shady.
Tags.
No, that's a fair point.
Mukhang bone tags.
That's probably the only valid point at the moment for ride sharing and carpooling. Yeah, but okay, you look at it like this, and this is something I'd love to push as well. Let's say we have this national ID card or internet birth certificate. In other words, you can't open anymore a Facebook account, a Twitter account, a Carpool account, an Uber account, etc., without having this one form that actually goes through 4 or 5 steps. We just need, I think with the fake news and all this, it's about time that we have our legitimate identity. And there are sites that I know Sam visits that you don't need to, you know. Kasi, diba?
He makes his own.
You know, we
Are they
got
blocked by the government already?
But there's always a way around it.
but those are the anonymous sites. Nobody gets hurt there, right?
It
the
depends.
ones I'm
Jojo, he hurt himself.
the ones I'm talking about are your Facebook or things where you could do some damage and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
If
if you
nakalink na yan to the
Exactly.
to your apps, the Waze, all these
and not just that. I mean, if you're saying stuff on Facebook and you're hiding behind anonymity, it doesn't work. But if you've got your a national ID card, you have this internet birth certificate, and then that is required to be a rider and a passenger and a driver.
Okay.
I think it's, you know what, we've heard of another car napping the other day,
Yeah.
again, of Uber or Grab. No, I think the passengers have got to have the same standards.
Yeah.
Like if you want to book an Uber now or a Grab, you should go through some kind of process. You can have
Quality assurance.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays you have these cards. They're credit, well, not credit cards, but they use like the credit card network, Mastercard or bank or whatever Visa.
All the online.
But you don't need to have a bank account
Yeah.
because this is the barrier for most people. The reason that credit card penetration in this country is so low because some people can't get a bank account. A lot of people. So there's these new prepaid payment cards that utilize the same MasterCard and Visa network that allow you to open one without a bank account. But you still have to go through the BSP standard of identification. I just got one for my kids. My kid's 13, and he got one, and legally, because he doesn't need a bank account, but now he's got this card.
Yeah.
And this card is now hooked up to, like he had to put his ID. There's even a video conference call that you have to do.
Okay.
And then once that's established, now you're a real person. Now it's not 100%, but nothing's 100%. But at least now when you book a ride through Uber, Grab, Wonder, Waze, or whatever, I know who you are, you know who I am. If you still decide to do something stupid, well,
That's
you're-
That's really
information.
on you.
that's on you now.
That's
But
on
at least
you.
I can find you.
Yeah.
If you're a driver with a bank account, that's how you're getting paid through your ride sharing, and if you're a rider, that's how you pay through then you're an idiot if you still want to do something. So it's not 100%, but it's as close to it as we can get, and it's a lot safer than what's going on now. So that's how I would address the safety and security of ride sharing and carpooling. And you know what? We're doing it on Tinder without all of that.
Yeah. Like,
People would go, I mean, they say, I won't hop in the car, but I'll jump into bed with this stranger. Oh, how
That's
can we
not
do
a
that?
bus.
Hindi tayo yan.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, you know, there are
Yeah.
people out
I'm
there.
willing though. I'm willing. I just wish someone would match with me.
Okay, sana meron tayong RFID sa gano'n. Diba?
Or commercial.
Nakakarami ka. May platinum.
Uy!
Nag-gold ka.
Marami ka pinapasender niya. Tapos pasok ka sa RFID mo express lane, diba?
We know Sam would be elite.
Number 1 ka dun.
Ako pinaka-relax.
Number 1 ka.
You know what?
We know you'd be elite.
Back in Sam's Tinder days, he's like, check out my Tinder. Tapos I thought, every single match. Every single time.
You just bring it down to Jojo. He has like a ton of matches.
Yeah, I have.
Really?
I have.
Have you
And
met
this
him?
is
Can
Jojo.
Yeah.
I need to see
It's
this.
expected from
Sam.
Sam.
No.
He's a celebrity.
No,
but-
I'm a Bumble guy.
Ano
Yeah.
Bumble guy?
But
Bumblebee.
Jojo.
I've never seen the app.
Yeah, here's,
Say
Bumble.
what's up in the meantime to
Oh, what?
Ryan season
Is
4,
that like
Lau,
Tinder?
Yeah, it's like Tinder.
Jen, How, Rona, Lau, they're all
I have,
in the program.
Also to Sarianne, to Gabrielle and
Matched.
Danielle.
Wow.
Figueroa. They're
Wow.
listening to the show, listening to James, and they're all carpooling.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're doing their part.
Thumbs up for you guys.
So
You guys.
they said, okay, good job.
Tsaka makakamit ka pa ng friends eh.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, that's another thing. You can meet
can
a lot.
talk more
You know,
person.
in the States, in California, there are actual carpooling. I don't know if they're apps or groups or how they work, but they're called silent carpools because that's how popular carpools are there. That they're yes,
Yeah, don't they have like Lyft?
Lyft. Yeah,
no, but Lyft is
No,
Uber.
Lyft is Uber.
Oh,
But the carpool, what amazed me is that because it's so widespread and so popular, silent carpools are basically you're not allowed to talk in the car. Yeah,
Silent-
no, because some people prefer it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Diba? Some people are just too shy and they say, you know, the only thing stopping me from carpooling is I don't want to have to make conversation with people. So you go into these silent carpools and there's no awkwardness because it's pretty much a rule
Mind
now.
your own business.
Yeah, it's mind your own business and we're not being bastos. We're just
It's a different form of ways. It's a group chat that you have to go on. You log in with your number, and then it I guess it's regional by region. So then you can actually find out if someone's going your way, and then you just go in and
There
then
you
you
go.
click. Oh, I'm at the corner of so and so, and then they pick you up and you're just in there and then just quiet. And then just
You sit down.
Parang Tinder, wala nang usap-usap.
Diretso agad.
Diretso
Diretso.
All roads lead to
Sa
Tinder.
Naiya, marami.
Marami dun.
No need to talk. No need to talk.
Earlier,
Self-tigas meron.
No talk.
Rekta na to, rekta.
Did I tell you about you remember the carpool thing about stopping them on EDSA with the 3 people,
Yes.
etc.?
Oh, yeah.
Did I tell you about what they did in Indonesia?
No.
Have you? I never said. Okay, this is another worry that I have if they introduce this carpool thing without the technology behind it. In Indonesia, they did the same thing, and you weren't allowed to enter like certain areas without 3 people in your car. And do you know what was happening there? And will probably happen here. People were renting themselves at the corners to warm bodies to sit in the car just to be able to go through. Exactly, and then they would rent themselves going out.
No, totoo yan.
You don't think the Pinoys could do the same thing?
Pinoys will do that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And so it defeats the purpose. You have
Yeah.
professional carpoolers that are just doing nothing. And then the sale of blow-up dolls will go up so high, diba?
Oh, yeah. Our friends from Top Gear, they're all tuned in.
That's so Pinoy though.
Who?
Aris is...
Aris Ilagan. He the man.
Yeah.
I think that's so Pinoy, that professional.
Aris is on a
Carpool.
motorcycle though. He normally rides a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Is he listening on a motorcycle?
He's probably in a car right now.
Okay.
Love
you, Aris.
Poppy Vince, Prince Vince Yuteco is also in the house. Happy birthday to you, buddy.
6310899. If you guys have any questions. At Boys Night Out 899. Hello.
Evening. Yeah, man. All right, you got a question?
Why?
All right, yeah, give us your opinion. Go ahead. Oh.
Oh, you're talking about if they want to get off.
So the carpooling.
Yeah. I was talking about the MMD, the current one, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the concept of carpooling, but he brings up a good point. That's true.
Yeah.
What if you exactly Reliance Street, right?
Yeah, I want to get off Reliance Mega Mall.
Exactly.
But you're just left there.
No, you have to wait there at Mega Mall for another person. That's why.
Yeah.
He makes a good point.
I think there has to be, like you said, the system. The system.
Yeah, then there's a train. You know, the train is being proposed to be managed by the people who run the MRT3, which is the Ayala and MP. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
You know that the MRT is being proposed to be taken over by the MRT3 people. The MRT3 people that's Ayala and Metro Pacific.
MP.
And they do it really well already. I mean, they've revamped their whole MRT3. They've done a whole new renovation. It looks great. It works great. They're more efficient because it's a private company. But they can't seem to get into the MRT on EDSA.
And which is the biggest
problem.
The most important one.
You see, I mean, like, even if, let's not hate on, I'm not trying to hate on the government or anything like that, but let's just say, even if the government were, there's no kalokohans and all that, just the mere fact that our procurement laws alone, that if something breaks down on the train, procurement laws alone will make it 6 months before you can actually get the part. That's assuming that there are no hiccups.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work. This is why we should really have either private companies running it, or we have to find another way. Because like the MRT right now, when things break down, they have to go, one, it's hybrid, it's a government private, so there's a lot of finger pointing between the two. When somebody, right, that's his side, that's his side, that's his side, so you spend 3 months arguing about that, then 6 months to get the part because it has to go through a government procurement process, and this is why commuters are always taya. Whereas if you're in a corporation, a private corporation, and your wheel breaks down, you can
go to
have somebody fly over and pick it up if they have to.
I know. Let's get to a break and get more with James Deakin. And if you guys have questions, 631-0899.
For tonight, the Dick, no? The Dick.
The Dick.
The boys and the Dick.
Boys and LK99 saying what's up to Papi Travis Monzon
Uy, Travis,
enjoying this. A lot of people, learning a lot.
At saka comments, you guys sound so smart tonight. After 12 years, yan na tayo nakakapira mga ganitong comments. Ang ganda.
From candles and ropes last night to this. People, ang galing. And also to Jenny.
This is the show where you get your ex-girlfriend to listen to.
Yeah.
And this is where you get your ex-girlfriend.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, the girls that never liked the show.
Okay.
This is where we call it.
They'll appreciate it.
Text ko na. Okay kayo, guys.
Ito lang.
Ang dami nila.
Reply FU.
Tama.
Easy.
Agad.
Reply FU. Ay, nako.
Radio experience.
Ano may first aid kit? Tumudugo ilong ko.
Darbs man! What's up, Yon?
Papi,
Ikaw ba imbita sa show mo, bro? Sana dream ko may imbita ako ni James Deakin, pare. After ng launching ko.
The Darf's bag.
My fellow titos and nanos.
Sa phones.
What's up?
Basta malapit yung ginawa mo kagabi, ah.
Hey, Sir James. Malupit.
Di ba to?
Nakalive ba?
Ito mo, pinapunta ka. Pare, tagal ko eh. Napunta ka ng kandila.
Ayok. Ano to? 50 Shades.
50 Shades.
What's up, papi?
Basta.
Good.
Saan galing? Shop lang?
No. I brought my daughters to see my partner, so... Partner na yun.
Si Missy gaya ng Liberty.
You know, you come with me. Ari, may dala akong konting ano yun na. Lockable stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yung kuya.
Oo, pinaka. Pag-post for atom kanta, drone, para sa kan.
Ano tayo sa Europe, Cars and Coffee. You're watching us.
Ano talaga?
Gusto mo maghubad?
Kumain mo gabi?
We have a candle there.
Tons, thanks raw, sabi ni Jen.
Ha?
Toni.
Salita dyan, brother.
Okay. Busy ka ba sa? Busy ka sa? Schedule ka.
Saturday. Concert.
Sa gabi.
Erica Badu.
What time is that?
6 or 7. Why? Not
Okay,
sure.
can you drop by me?
Why? What's happening? What, you have an event?
Grand launch ng Cars and Coffee.
Where?
In Farmstown.
What time?
It will start in the morning.
Oh, okay.
You can engage
Morning.
Whole day ba yun?
Paano yun You're the only hot. Full day.
It's a holiday thing.
From 8 to 12, there will be like Mini Cooper, Lotus,
Sir James,
vintage car
how's
clubs.
your this thing? Sheila asking me.
I haven't tried it yet.
I tried it last time. 60 feet, pinaglipad ko.
Talaga?
Oh.
Fun ba?
Sobra.
What are you expecting?
I haven't. I wanted to wait for my kid to try it.
Yeah,
Because Sheila asking me
shortcut.
that, I saw Sir James
Must
bigay
have-
doon
I
sa
think she had
Yeah,
just
I think
either
they're
come
doing a
from
set
you or going to
came
you.
from me.
Came for you.
And then you have a meeting.
I said they
and
can promote
then-
at 9:30.
Ayun.
Pag nakita ko sa picture, nandun ka, and then tinesting ko sa bahay, tinalipad ko. Okay.
Fun
na.
talaga?
Oo.
Saya nga eh. Masaya. It looks like a lot of fun.
Oo.
So what's this? Ano yung wait, was it Bumper?
Bumble.
Bumble.
Isa parang dating site din siya, parang Tinder din. Kompetensya na Tinder.
Tinder works ba?
Oo.
Pwede dyan. Pang underground lang tayo.
Meeting ba?
Ito naman ako dyan.
Underground na tayo.
Pwede dyan.
But I can't understand the concept kasi Tinder if you're I mean like apparently a lot of married guys. How do
Yeah.
don't they know? That's in your
Hindi,
wife.
kasi kung single ang status mo, okay lang yun. Kasi di mo naman malalaman yan eh. Depende sa profile mo. It depends on yung profile name mo and then your pictures. Like in Bumble din naman, may match din naman. It's like the swipe and then kung may ka-match ka, ito siya. Then, sa Bumble, girls ang mauuna sa'yo. Then guys, kung match kayo.
Talaga.
Hindi ka tulad sa Tinder, pag match kayo, pwede ka na
Pare naka-live kami
message, mag-response sa kanya. While in Bumble,
Matinig to, matinig.
girl ang
Pare live kami dyan. Tatahimik lang ako dito.